Since the first humans told stories by firelight, we have been haunted by creatures that straddle the line between reality and legend. Some were said to be long gone, wiped away by time's relentless tide. Science calls them extinct. But sometimes, stories linger. Eyewitnesses swear. Tracks are found, and somewhere deep inside, we feel a quiet possibility that perhaps these creatures never truly left us. Today, we step into the twilight realm between history and mystery, to uncover 7 extinct animals that might still walk among us. 1. The thylacine Tasmania's shadow. The thylacine, or Tasmanian tiger, was unlike any predator on Earth. With the body of a dog, the stripes of a tiger, and a pouch like a kangaroo, it was the apex hunter of Tasmania. It stalked its prey silently, then delivered a bone-crushing bite. By the early 20th century, European settlers had branded it a threat to livestock, and waged a merciless campaign against it. Bounties were paid for every tail brought in. In 1936, the last known thylacine, named Benjamin, died alone in a Hobart zoo. Officially, the species was gone. But the story didn't end there. Over the decades, farmers have reported seeing slender, striped creatures slipping between the trees. Bushwalkers have found paw prints unlike any known animal. In 2016, scientists from James Cook University began investigating 2 credible sightings in North Queensland areas, far from its supposed extinction range. Some believe small populations survived by adapting, hunting at night, and avoiding humans entirely. Others argue that every sighting is mistaken identity, a dog, a fox, or even a feral cat. But the thylacine remains Tasmania's most enduring ghost. 2. The megalodon, the monster of the deep. Imagine a shark longer than a city bus, with jaws powerful enough to crush a small car. The megalodon ruled Earth's oceans for millions of years before disappearing about 3.6 million years ago, or so, science tells us. Its teeth, some over 7 inches long, are found on every continent, often in places that were once deep ocean. These fossils hint at a predator that could ambush whales in a single devastating strike. But the ocean is vast. More than 80% remains unexplored. In 2013, researchers recorded an unexplained sonar reading of an object larger than any known creature, moving at unusual speeds off the coast of New Zealand. In 2016, divers in South Africa found whale carcasses bearing bite marks far too large for any great white shark. While marine biologists argued that a living megalodon would have been spotted by now, cryptozoologists countered that it could dwell in the deep trenches, far below where sunlight penetrates, merging only to hunt, until every ocean trench has been searched. The possibility, however slim, remains. 3. Argentavis. The giant of the skies, the Argentavis magnificens, was one of the largest flying birds in history, with a wingspan reaching nearly 23 feet. It soared above prehistoric South America 6 million years ago, gliding for hours without flapping its wings. Officially extinct, it has nonetheless been linked to mysterious sightings of enormous thunderbirds across the Americas. In 1977, a group of Illinois residents reported a giant bird that swooped low over a schoolyard, casting a shadow big enough to startle the children. In Alaska, bush pilots have claimed to see dark shapes in the sky, far above their flight paths, yet still massive enough to be clearly visible. Described as a leathery winged reptile with a sharp beak and teeth, it matches the profile of a pterosaur, a flying reptile believed extinct for 65 million years. In 1925, explorer Frank H. Mellon documented multiple encounters with the creature, noting that witnesses reacted with terror when shown illustrations of pterosaurs. In 1956, a man in Zambia appeared at a hospital with deep chest wounds, claiming he had been attacked by a massive bat-like creature while crossing a river. While scientists attribute these reports to misidentified birds or bats, the sheer number of consistent descriptions spanning generations and tribal groups suggests a cultural memory of something far stranger. And in the dense, swampy jungles of Central Africa, there are still places where no human has ever set foot. 5. The woolly mammoth. Giants of the ice. Woolly mammoths once roamed from Europe to North America, braving the frozen tundras with thick fur and curved tusks that could reach 15 feet. They officially vanished around 4,000 years ago, surviving longest on Wrangel Island in the Arctic Ocean. Yet, in the remote reaches of Siberia, hunters and explorers have told of massive, shaggy beasts wandering through blizzards. In the late 20th century, a Russian geologist reported seeing a large, elephant-like creature moving slowly through the snow, its reddish fur matted with ice. Scientists admit it's possible that small herds could survive undetected in the most isolated Arctic regions. In fact, frozen mammoth carcasses have been found so well preserved that their stomach contents were intact, suggesting that permafrost has kept their kind hidden before, perhaps still doing so today. 6. Steller's sea cow. the forgotten siren discovered in 1741 by naturalist Georg Wilhelm Steller. The Steller's sea cow was a massive herbivorous marine mammal related to the dugong and manatee. Growing up to 30 feet long, it fed peacefully on kelp in the frigid waters of the Commander Islands. In such a harsh, remote environment, survival may be improbable but not impossible. 7. The giant ground pangolin, armor in the shadows. Modern pangolins are shy, scaly mammals found in Africa and Asia, but their prehistoric relatives were far larger, some the size of a large bear. Fossil records suggest these giants disappeared thousands of years ago. Yet deep in the forests of Indonesia and Central Africa, there are persistent stories of enormous, armored creatures that emerge at night to feed on ants and termites. Hunters tell of hearing heavy rustling in the undergrowth and finding deep claw marks gouged into tree trunks far too high for any known pangolin species. Local elders describe them as living shields that curl into impenetrable balls when threatened, just like their smaller cousins. The possibility that such a creature could still exist in untouched rainforest is enough to keep cryptozoologists searching. The mystery that remains. These 7 animals may belong to the past, or they may still walk, swim, and fly somewhere far from human eyes. Science demands proof. But proof is a tricky thing when the world is still filled with uncharted places. When there are jungles where the trees have never been cut, seas where the sunlight has never reached the floor, and mountains whose slopes have never felt a human step. Perhaps the thylacine-striped shadow still moves through Tasmanian grasslands at night. Perhaps the megalodon still waits in the black silence of the Mariana Trench. And perhaps a giant bird, wings stretching the length of a small plane, still rides the wind above the Andes, unseen but not gone. Extinction is a word we use when we close the book. But the truth is, some chapters may still be open, and the story may not be finished.